For this week's non-duality teaching, I've got a question that came from one of the YouTube subscribers, a comment I saw on a recent video. They asked, Kurt, what do I do when I'm not present? I'm having a hard time staying present. What do I do? So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the idea behind meditation is to remove yourself from time, right? So the ego mind is linear, it's past, future, it's duality. So the ego mind is always thinking about where it wants to be in the future or something from the past that it wish it could change or something like that. It's always past, future. And meditation, staying present, living in the moment, right? That's where that word comes from. So staying out of the dimension of time in the ego mind. And that's staying present. And this person wants to know, how do I do that? Staying present isn't a doing. And I realize it's just a figure of speech, right? I'm having a hard time staying present. What do I do? But it's a very convenient figure of speech because it isn't a doing. It's a being. There's no action for you to take. So let's talk about that first. The mind and the body, the whole physical universe, is duality. That's where the yin-yang symbol comes from. Yin, yang, alpha, omega, right? Science, they have a word for it. They call it relativity, right? Everything is relative. Past, future, here, there, bigger, smaller, light, dark. And the mind is good, bad, past, future. I like it, I don't like it. I feel good, I feel bad. Doing is duality because you can take an action, doing, or you could not take an action, not doing. Do, not do. The physical body could have or not have. But there isn't an opposite to being. Even after you do the thing that we call die, the mind goes away, the body goes away. What's left? You, the actual you, the soul, which is consciousness, and it is still being. It is still existing. It still is. So there's no not being. There's only being. Being is not duality. It's the one. Now, what everybody on earth does, because they believe they are the mind, they start with doing. Do, I got to do something, and then I'll have something, and then I'll be something. So, like with this question, I'm having a hard time staying present. What do I do? Right, so the mind assumes I got to start with doing. I need to take some action, and then I'll have a state of presence. And then I'll be present. Do, have, be. What I'm telling you is that's all backwards. You got to flip it. You start with being. And as a matter of fact, there's not even having and doing that comes after that when it comes to this question. So there's no action to take, right? I just want to make sure that that's very crystal clear. There's no action or inaction to take. It's non-duality. So, okay, that's not what I do to get present again. Well then, how can I get present? What? I don't understand. Well, that's the thing is, you're not going to understand, and you don't need to. See, the very thing that is asking the question is the problem. There's an old saying from the Zen traditions, enlightenment is what happens when you dissolve the questioner. So that which is seeking to acquire presence is what is distracting you. And it's fine to ask questions, and this is the strange irony, paradox, if you will, of non-duality teachings, which is you have to seek in order to remember that you already are the being, the consciousness. But when you remember that, you realize that the seeking was the problem, right? That was the whole problem all along. So look at that which is asking the question, the mind. So mental patterns, mental narratives, and there is an emotional narrative too. There's this like pull. When people ask questions like this, you feel this urge. So for example, right now, we're 6 minutes into this video, and some people might be sitting there going, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kurt, but that's not it. There's something else. I don't know. I don't know. There's just, I don't know, man. I gotta figure it out. There's, right? Like if I could impersonate the emotion that they're feeling, it would be that. It would be this, yeah, I know, Kurt, but I don't know. There's got to be something, right? Like you feel this urge, this pull to keep searching and seeking. Notice that. Place your awareness around that feeling, that urge. Place some awareness around the itch on your nose. Place awareness around that urge to seek, to acquire presence. Notice that. That's an emotional narrative, right? There's mental narratives and there are emotional narratives too. All you have to do is that, and you're present again. See, a lot of people think that presence equals not thinking. They think like the whole object of spiritualism is to like stop thinking. And that's just not true. That's like one of the first kind of myths that people run into. And the reason for that is because the mind is trying to understand spiritualism. But understanding and concept, well, spiritualism truly is beyond understanding and concept. It's beyond the mind. It's consciousness. You don't think your way there. You don't understand. The very awareness of the urge to seek and the mental dialogue, that awareness is the presence. So to be present is to be with whatever's going on, including the seeker. I am here, the awareness, and the seeker is here in my bubble of awareness, and I can feel the seeker there with me. That would be the best way, easiest way for me to explain it. If you understand where I'm going with this. Presence is not achieved. You remember, wait, I'm not the seeker. And you kind of separate yourself from the mind. Here's an analogy I give to my true spiritual journey coaching students. Imagine your body is like an apartment and you have a noisy roommate. So you're living in an apartment with a noisy roommate. You're here, the roommate is over there being noisy. And the way that the roommate makes noise are mental dialogues, right? Talking, visions, you see images in your mind, but also emotional talking, emotional dialogue. And thoughts and emotions, they're not bad. That would be the mind calling them bad. But that's just not what this journey is, this journey of awakening, your spiritual journey. It's a remembrance that you already are the awareness, the consciousness. And you just surround the mental and emotional noise with you, or with Well, yeah, that's true. You surround the mental and emotional noise with that awareness. And it's not a doing. You just remember that you are not the noise, but you're there with it. And the better you get at that, it is true that eventually there is less thinking and emotion. It's kind of like the wheel slowly loses energy, but the way that the wheel slowly loses energy is you kind of just surrender to it. You allow it to do what it's doing without judging or resisting. Because if you judge or resist the mind, that's the mind. You just allow it. And over a longer period of time, it just kind of fizzles out. But the mind, it'll never stop completely. Thinking is always going to take place. It's always going to go on. It's like the beating heart. It's like digestion. It's always going on. But you're just not aware of it anymore. You're not looking at it anymore. You're not focusing on it anymore. You've kind of taken your focus off of it. And here, before I go, I'll give you one quick kind of trick or a quick tip, which actually might make this easier for you. Something that I tell my students to do is to use your 5 physical senses. And this is why meditation is so popular. You could be sitting in a chair or just standing at the window or something, listening to the silence, looking at the sights. Shift all of your consciousness and awareness to your ears and your eyes and maybe even your cheeks. You feel like the temperature of the air, maybe a little breeze. Focus all of your attention, awareness, consciousness on that instead of the thinking. I hope this helps. Thank you for watching.